That is that too small?
Yeah, but you got a 30-gallon can and an 18-gallon bin still, so
I wonder if they look at it like it's a city as a whole.
well, you can imagine the initial cash outlay for them to
Oh, yeah.
trash cans.
Yeah.
But I think it's good for citizens.
That one's yellow, that one's green. Condo's
When you talk to you.
Yeah, that picture right there just looks that way. Oh boy. No, they're a good company. I appreciate what they do and how they do it.
Oh, yeah. Now, that was one thing. Charleston, the way we come into Charleston is off at 17, coming across 95 to 17. I come in, and there is. Looks like the entrance. Like that.
And there's this picture.
Oh, no.
You can't see that.
You can't see it. I mean, trees, everything. You cannot see anything.
Because they got real trees.
Yes, they do. They got mountains there too. So coconuts and everything there.
That's that's not their corporate headquarters. No, it's not. Don't I don't know the one with the goatee. Seems to know that's what I'm talking about. Maybe what it is now.
It might be this stuff in here.
Oh, that's why it's not
I was trying to rule out because everybody else, so that must be that is.
all this to do with my my granddaughter's first day of school. The bus found the house, dropped them in the driveway. All's good. Dropped them off right for the house.
Very good.
Daddy was there to greet them. That works. All right. Daddy and the dog. So I got Daddy on one side of the driveway and the pup on the other side. Really was a success. Also fresh happy faces. So that's definitely home early today because this was
Oh yeah. That's understandable.
you go be home.
No, that's understandable.
Oops.
You could probably
Good to see you.
So I got that chair today.
Workman's comp, what did y'all do?
That was my chair. It's that chair. One of these days, maybe. Before Prohibition, people would drink. Okay, so the Texas General Land Office is people with driver's license, records, and all this.
Next meeting?
Decades.
Well, it would be the town hall, wouldn't it?
No, what we just said we do.
A couple of them have these hexagonal.
No, it would be the town hall meeting.
Yeah, that was that drip that ran down the side.
What is your calendar? I sent the calendar out of my agenda. I saved it at that. Oh, right before the town hall meeting is our next meeting.
4:30?
Yeah. On the 4 hour.
And it's the stuff that was created
Yesterday.
back during the triangle trade between Newfoundland and Jamaica. Newfoundland was down the codfish, salted codfish.
I'll take that into consideration, so make it 5:15.
Slowly moving the wrong way. It's called
And are we ready?
and there that was.
Are we good, Deborah?
I was taking a math class when I was a college kid.
All right, let's call this regularly called council meeting to order at 6 o'clock, right? I can see.
6 o'clock.
All right, great. Let the record show everyone's here, all of our council members. We please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Pastor Canepa.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Could you please hold your hands and bow your heads as I pray the invocation. Lord, we're meeting here tonight to conduct matters of the business of this city. Guide the hearts and the minds of our mayor and the council members in the spirit of fairness and right thought and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon this council's activities so that the affairs of this evening may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you. Thank you for being the source of guidance tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome.
We're going to move to number 5, which would be the consent agenda. Do we have any discussion, questions, comments from anyone? Ms. Martinez?
No.
Mr. Perry?
No additions or revisions.
Mr. Byers? Mr. What's your name? Mr. Sherhart?
No, ma'am.
And no questions. Thank you.
Accept it as written.
Have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Very good. Now we will take citizen comments. Please step up to the podium and state your name and where you live. And don't be mean. We're trying.
Wanted Mr. Beck to go first. My name continues to be Bob Lee. Know my other names to other people. I live at 1314 Gentiles. Initial observations on the Alsatian Oaks Development Agreement. Number one question, can we afford this development with the terms presented in the presentation? My take is you cannot support it with a small percentage of the commercial sales tax, property tax, and water and wastewater revenue. It may be a misinterpretation also by me that the wording in the presentation as to whether the developer is paying for all on-site public infrastructure or the city is obligated to reimburse any of those costs to the developer is unclear. Normally, those costs are the developer's responsibility completely. Which is it? Council needs to have some solid projections from city staff of what the expected future resources will be to support this development. Personnel, facilities, vehicles, etc. If that number is a negative, it will be too late if you've already signed an agreement. Council should make the public aware of what the city's options are to furnish water to new developments, and this is just the first. We do have options, including releasing the CC and water rights to this development if that seems like the thing to do. We might be better off and have much less debt and get all the sales and property taxes if we finance our own water system improvements. I assure you the cost will be much less than the $35 million or more we're obligated to pay back with this proposal, probably about a quarter of that. I see nothing, and it may be there in your part of the agreement, I see nothing about the transfer of water rights to the city in this proposal, and it is required in our ordinance. Your predecessors put a very wise program in place to buy extra water to add to the water initially allocated to the city, associated with the airport, in order to have a water investment and insurance for the future. They knew that the growth in San Antonio area, our only source being the Edwards, we needed to have a solid supply for any future changes to allotments and to handle drought restrictions and whatever else might come along. That extra margin water has saved us in the past from overpumping during stage restrictions and having to pay large fines. More restrictions are guaranteed in the future as San Antonio continues to grow. With this first development, you're almost doubling the size of the city, and the need for maintaining our water buffer is even more important. You must ensure this and every other developer brings transferable water rights to the city for municipal use as required in our ordinance. I request council put all the facts on the table for the citizens and hire an outside entity to review this proposal for its financial impacts on the city. It will be money well spent, and it will show all is good or give you leverage for negotiating a better agreement. Also, you should not sign anything until you have a new administrator in place for at least 3 to 6 months. Never be in a rush to do something that will affect your city and citizens from now on until you have gone the extra mile to consider the impacts, especially the financial ones. We cannot afford for this agreement to be anything other than good for both sides. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Beck.
Terry Beck, I reside at 104 Harvest Moon. I will assure you all Clay Benford will take good care of us. That's all I'm going to say. I know y'all are going through the budgeting cycle right now, and that's why y'all all look fatigued. But I'm going to try to help y'all break it down to the simple. Here's what I want you to do. Look at your fund balances. Look at your debt service you got in next fiscal year. And I'm not talking about day-to-day operations. I'm talking about borrowed money that y'all got to pay debt on. Okay? Look at your projected revenues and the actual revenues from this past fiscal year. Same thing on the expense side. And do the simple math. Don't complicate it. It's not complicated. I was on council. I went through budgets. It should not be that difficult. Okay? Am I for raising taxes and utilities? Not at all, because that's just the common thing to do. Is it necessary? I don't know. That's what y'all got to figure out, okay? I'm putting all my faith and confidence that y'all can get in a room together, okay? Y'all can compromise on some things, but here's what I do know. Back when I was on council, the year before that, they had raised our utility rates, and the reason they raised it was to replace all the underground in River Bluff, okay? Guess what? The money was collected. The project was never done. And to this day, nobody has been able to tell me, Terry Beck, what happened to that money. And it was a bunch. That's bad government, folks. We're tired of it. And it's at all levels. It's at local, it's at state, it's at federal. It's bad government. You got to treat the citizens who elected you and put you in office as one of your own. Okay? I don't know where the problem arises, but the last 3 months, I've had to read my own electric utility and call it into the city. I don't know if it's a staffing issue or what it is, but I've lived there 30 years. And there's a problem. I'm not complaining, I don't mind doing it. But is it a staff problem? What is it, folks? Y'all are the ones that got to dig into this stuff and figure it out. I know it's not easy to do, but you were elected to do a job, and we expect you to do it well, okay? And I have confidence that y'all can do it well. That's why I haven't been here. But don't make the budget complicated. Simplify it. And if the mayor wants to come, and by the way, in the Texas Local Government Code, the mayor is the chief operating officer of the city. The mayor is also the budget officer of the city. What does that mean? She puts a budget together, throws it in your face, and expects you to approve it? No, that's not what it means. But it means she should have a very big influence in putting the budget together. And if she comes with proposals or projects or different things, and she can convince y'all as a council that it's good for the city, then y'all need to take it into consideration. On the other side of the coin, if y'all come with projects and proposals and stuff, and you can convince her as the budget officer and the chief operating officer of the city that it's good for the city, then y'all need to pass it. Okay? Don't complicate this. I think the biggest problem, and it's just me, I think some of y'all don't like each other. And if that's the case, you shouldn't even be sitting up there, because that's not why you were not elected for a personality contact. You were elected to represent the citizens of this great town that I was born and raised in and still live in today. And I have the faith and the confidence that y'all are going to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Gosh, I want some more that tell us how great we are, please. No. Thank you so much. Citizens' comments. Now we will go to the public hearing, the second one, on the request for annexation of 9.81 acres of property, being a tract of land fronting the south edge of U.S. Highway 90 to the east of U.S. Highway 90's intersection with Farm to Market Highway 471, Medina County, Texas. Do I have opening it to the public for questions at
6:10.
6:10. Anyone wish to comment? No comments. So there were no comments?
Gotta close it.
Yeah. No, I know. It's closing at 6:11. 6:11. All right. Deborah, what happens here then? That means it's good?
I'm sorry.
On this number 7, I'm new to this. That means it's good? The variance? No one commented or anything?
Correct, that's all we need to do.
You'll come back with an ordinance, we'll come back with an ordinance.
That was, okay. All right. Number 8, discussion and appropriate action on renewal of health, dental, and vision insurance for city employees. And this is Mr. Bob, forgive me? Pike. And he is our agent of record. I remember you were here last time, right? You explained it to us, prior administration.
Yes, ma'am.
All yours, sir.
What I have given each of you is a little history on where we have been with our health insurance. We are with the Texas Municipal League, and that is not a commercial insurance company. It is a member pool of those cities that belong to the Texas Municipal League. We've been with them a long time. I gave you an 8-year history of where we have been with them and what our claims experience has been, what our rate increases have been. Then I gave you a little more comprehensive history from 2010 to 2019 of where our rates have been, not only with the Texas Municipal League and our medical insurance, but all the insurance that the city provides its employees. I will say one thing, that when you get out into the commercial world, employers don't provide as much in the way of benefits as a municipality does. It just doesn't happen. And I think that's why you have people that show loyalty to a municipality, because they know they get stuff here that they can't get elsewhere. They can cover their families here that they can't get elsewhere. A lot of other companies will charge just the employee maybe 50%. If you want to participate in the health insurance, they'll pay 50% of yours and you pay the other 50%. Here, you pay 100% of all the employees' medical, dental, vision, life insurance, and long-term disability. Those are some tremendous benefits. Maybe some of you don't even have those benefits where you work or where you have worked, but it's a great deal. But I wanted you to see where you have been with the rate history, and staying with Texas Municipal League has benefited us greatly. You'll see that we have a number of years that we've had no increase whatsoever in 2011, 2012, 2014. In the commercial world, the health insurance rates are going to go up every year. Insurance companies don't give you a pass. Here we have had that with the Texas Municipal League. And one other thing, since we are a member-owned type insurance, we have equity that can be formed when we have a good year. And this past year has been a real good year for Texas Municipal League, and they are returning some of the premium to us. As a matter of fact, they are returning $3,800 in premium to us in the form of a monthly reduction of $317.15. That's not bad, but you only have it because it's a Texas Municipal League. It's self-funded. It's an employer-type rebate that we will get every month, and you don't get that with other insurance carriers in the commercial market. So they try to give back when there's a good year. They don't take a vacation to the Bahamas. They go ahead and give the money back to its members. And your employees, you guys are the members. But I wanted you to see where that comes from. But even that being aside, I wanted you to see what rates would be like if we challenged the market with other companies, fine companies like Blue Cross, Humana, Aetna. We are, through Texas Municipal, we are underwritten through United Healthcare. So they don't provide a bid to somebody they already have. That's why they chose to no bid. Aetna hasn't been competitive in a while. And one thing that we have that most other employers don't have, we have employees that have hazardous occupations. You have police officers that not only can be involved in hazardous situations, but as a result of their work, they may come into contact with medical conditions that could cause great illnesses down the road. Therefore, they penalize municipalities. All insurance commercial companies penalize municipalities 10% just because you have employees that could run into these situations. You see the rates, you see the benefits. We're doing really well where we're at compared to what we could have on the outside, and on the outside we wouldn't have the chance of getting a $3,800 rebate at the end of the year. We wouldn't have the chance of 1 year where we have no rate increase whatsoever. Just doesn't work that way. So my recommendation has been that we stay with the Texas Municipal League, and we'll do this every year. We go through this every year to show you where we are, where we've been, and where we need to go, along with the other rates on our life, dental, vision, and long-term disability. We're doing quite well, and I would encourage the council to continue with the plans that we have in force right now. and I'm open to any questions you have.
I have one, because speaking with some of our employees, they're not aware of this, but according to your spreadsheet here, when you compared us, that there is mental health coverage available to them. Might want to see if we can get some, because how does that work?
Well, some of those things are real sensitive. So during the open enrollment meetings that we have scheduled, I think, for September the 17th, TML comes out here and we review all of the benefits that are available to them and give them the information that they would need to contact the providers for mental health. We also have, through Standard, the company that handles our dental, our long-term disability, and our life insurance, a provision in the policy where they can go see counselors. Those that are raising teenagers need to see a counselor. So that they provide that service available to them, and we do it discreetly.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm a retired Air Force medic, so about first responders. I'm just looking at it with some of the things that I know our employees have seen with major accidents and stuff like that, or shootings and what have you. I just want to maybe see next time when you have the meeting, get the word out there that this is available for them.
We can, because
I appreciate it.
it's not only mass shootings in schools or other places that people need to talk to someone. Working, they see sometimes some very difficult situations. And if you've ever been in the military, I was lucky to serve with the Marine Corps in Vietnam. You don't necessarily forget some of these things.
Yes, sir.
They stay with you.
Yes, sir.
And the employees are the same way.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fike. I've been recently shopping I've been self-employed for 33 years, and I can't get these rates, so I'm glad that we can do this for our employees. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Carey. Mr. Byers? No. Any questions? Mr. Schubert?
Yeah, I'd just like to say I'm very happy that you gave us a comparison this year. This is very helpful, it's very informative, and it becomes very obvious that, for me anyway, TML is the logical solution. We should stick with it, we should leverage it, and I fully support it.
Thank you
for the presentation.
Thank you very much. And this would be, we discussed in one of our meetings, fiscal year.
Yes, we changed it, and I don't know why. I've been with the city, I want to say, 20 years or so. I don't exactly remember. I've seen a lot of different city managers.
It was at the request of Ms. Vargas, right?
We used to have June 1st as our anniversary date, but nobody ever figured out how we got there. To make it easier for budget purposes, we needed to be on the fiscal year. So we switched it to October 1, and all our insurance carriers said, okay, instead of giving you the rate increase June 1st of 2019, as we have been in the past, we'll extend those rates and keep them until October 1st. That way the council has the chance to change the way the insurance fiscal year will run to coordinate with the October 1st.
Great.
So we did a few little different things this year, but that helped. It helps the planning and the budgeting so we don't have to come in with a 3-month budget just for insurance.
Do we need to make a motion to change the start date?
No,
No, it's done.
we've already done that.
Done it already, okay.
All right, so, do I
Thank
have
you.
a motion?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I just want to ask Leroy,
Yes, sir.
are you good with this?
Absolutely. These are some really good rates and very well to work with, so thank you for that. Just to let you know also, the new rates that he proposed are in the budget, the current budget that was presented earlier, so those are already in there. They're embedded in there, so, yes.
I move we accept, or we renew the TML insurance as presented in this presentation.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Mr. Martinez seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. You've got your
Thank you.
insurance.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, now our favorite topic, waste management. And we have our waste management person here.
We all have a handout in front of you from him.
And you do have a handout. And I think everyone is aware of all the issues we have about the size of the brush and when we pick up bulk and don't mix oil and blah, blah, blah. But anyway,
Sure.
thank you for
Well, Mayor,
coming,
thank you
Mr.
ver-
Cox.
Thank you
Chris
very much
Cox.
for having me. My name is Chris Cox. I represent Waste Management. I live in San Antonio. The staff and the mayor and I have been talking over the past several weeks on how can we focus on addressing some concerns that have arose over the past several months as it pertains to brush and bulk collection services. Over the years, my predecessor and our company, our operations team, has seen an increase in the items at the curb. There's a specific allowance in our contract that you all see on the second page. The big picture of our contract, we have once a week curbside residential service. It's a carton of 2 36-gallon bags. We also provide once a month curbside residential recycle service in 18-gallon bins, which you hold with your hands and you take out to your curb. We have once a month curbside residential brush service with an 8 cubic yard allowance. We kind of like to explain that is if it's bigger than a large sedan, you got a problem, right? So you want 8 cubic yards. We have diagrams that we can share with the city to post on their website or in newsletters. Twice a year, we provide curbside residential bulk service. That is also an 8 cubic yard allowance. The city also has one of the best services, ancillary services that we provide. It's called At Your Door, which is an unlimited household hazardous waste collection. You can call a number that we have. If you're not aware with it, I can share that with you. You call that number, you speak with a representative from our company. They will share with you what you can and what you can't put outside with that item. They'll ship you a bag, put all your household hazardous waste items outside your door, and we'll pick it up right from your door. You'll never have to deal anything with it, mess with that. It's paint, oil, anything that you don't want to put in your trash. We don't want to see at our landfill because it's going to contaminate the landfill. You also have a number of commercial services, which are dumpsters, compactors, roll-offs, and commercial carts at commercial businesses where you'll see a cart at a business. Over the years, we've had a long-standing relationship with you all, providing comprehensive solid waste and collection services. We've enjoyed this partnership. We do not like to consider ourselves in any community that we're at a third-party service provider. We'd like to be, and would prefer to refer to ourselves as an extension of your city services and a partner to you and your residents. And so, as a partner, we've kind of entered into discussions on how can we address some of the issues that Public Works and some of the other departments have been seeing. There's been, Patricia calls me just about every other day mentioning that there's a resident that needs some items picked up, codes looking at this residence that has a number of bulk items out that's been out there for several weeks. Some of the residents just don't know what we do and can take, so we'd like to enhance our education efforts in partnership with the city to notify residents what is acceptable, what is not, what the allowance details, and just kind of refocus back on the current operating agreement that we have. That operating agreement has been in existence since 2015, and it includes a trash recycling and every other item there. That agreement term ended in 2018, and there was an extension that has been granted to us if both parties, the city and Waste Management, opted not to exit the agreement. We can extend. We're in that extension period right now, and we are looking at the opportunity to discuss with the city as you work through your budget items, whether it be this year or next year, to enter into discussions about possible amendments to the contract to extend that, or to add on enhancement or optimization of services. As the industry has grown throughout the years, there's been an advancement of technologies that are available to our company and that we can bring here. One of those, for instance, If you'll flip through onto another page, I think it is probably the 4th page, you will see what is called a diagram of an automated side load truck. That is a truck that we have available to us right now, where there is no helpers on the truck. It's literally just a driver driving through. He's able to pick up the can without even exiting the truck with this new advanced technology that we have, and pick it up with a press of a button, set it back down. That is a truck that we're kind of moving to in our industry just due to the safety. We've seen in our company, I know other companies out there have seen some deaths with the helpers on the back of the truck where cars kind of slam into the back, and unfortunately that ends in some unfortunate situations. So we're kind of moving in a direction of working towards assisted side loaders. It's lighter on the streets. It's cleaner to your community. We operate them with either diesel or compressed natural gas. It's less wear and tear on the streets, and it's cleaner for your neighborhoods. If you flip to the next page, as I mentioned, you have trash carts and recycling bins. I'm sure maybe you've experienced it sometimes with the wind. Your recycling items blow out, and next thing you know, they're all the way down the street. You might have animals get into that, pull those out, and you can only fit so much into it. So we're kind of entertaining the idea of, if the city is willing, offering a recycling cart to the city that you can use in addition to your current trash cart. It's wheeled, it's easier to move, and less things to carry. If you flip to the next page, this is kind of what we're looking at. It's a picture of a truck there with our carts on the street matching recycling and trash carts. It's a congruent, uniform look. It's a cleaner look for your streets. You don't have items, one tall, one little. You don't have a customer-provided cart or anything like that. It's just a clean, uniform look. Ultimately, it's easier for the providers. It's easier for the residents to come on out. And at the end of the day, it's a beautiful looking thing to look at when you look down the street and you see uniform placement of the cans. You see the at-your-door services. I'll briefly mention that Waste Management has taken on the efforts, what we call the battle against contamination. Recycling over the years, the recycling industry has changed. Currently, one of the commodity purchasers of recycling was China. Over the years, they've decided to become a little bit more stringent on what they will accept from the commodity market coming from the United States, and they have put a threshold on there that if there is a contaminated load or sorts of commodity purchase, that they want it to be as clean as possibly can. Who doesn't want that? I get it. So it's been an effort on behalf of Waste Management to work with all of our customers, whether it's a city, a residential customer, a business, or any kind of restaurant or office building. We've created an entire state-of-the-art website that we're industry leaders on, that we're the first ones to start. It's called Recycle Often, Recycle Right. It's a complete education effort that we've put forward. It puts all the myths, the resources, a newsroom for anyone to look at the current status of recycling. You can look at all of that and just kind of curtail specifically for your home, your business, or for a resident on what is the best practices of recycling. We have worked with some cities, specifically Jordanton, in the past couple of months to bring some of these enhancements to the city. I included some material that we provided in partnership with the city of Jordanton to detail some of the changes that we brought to Jordanton. We moved them to this assisted side loader trucks. I'll be honest with you all, there were some growing pains at first, but residents and the community ended up, I believe they truly do, we're moving in the right direction, and I think everybody will learn to like it and have a cleaner street rather than looking at multiple bags and items on the ground. It's just it's a cleaner look for your neighborhoods and your community, and we're happy to be a partner in that. So I just wanted to explain, the mayor asked me to explain what services we provided. I think there was some confusion, at least with some of the residents on what do we provide, what is out there. And so we are pledging to work with the city to better educate and better inform if there's any way we can do. I know it's easy to say that, hey, we've been here quite a long time. People lived here quite a long time, they know, they should know, but we're going to step up that effort on our end, and hopefully we can continue doing this with the city for years coming. Is there any questions?
I've got one.
Sure.
I know some residents, when regards to the brush pickup, do a central type 1 area, like between me and 2 of my neighbors. We have them do it in our area, on our lot property and everything, because it's just easier access for your trucks to get to the brush and everything like that. Have you guys considered that, maybe doing like an exemption type thing when we redo the agreement?
An exemption in what sense, ma'am?
And saying, well, that, you know, there could be a centralized for residents, grouping type thing.
We've certainly,
without penalizing them.
That's been in a, I don't think, nobody gets penalized right now, as far as I understand, with a fee. There's nothing like that. I'll just explain the logic behind it, why we look to see the items and the piles in front of one specific house. Because at the end of the day, the city knows who's paying for the service. We know they can verify that somebody actually is living there and paying for the service. We've seen, in driving around, we've seen piles accumulate on lots, vacant lots, so we don't know that that is it's specific or residential, so we don't know if it's a commercial style of work. And then if it grows and it's centralized on one property for 4 homes, how do we know it is, do we know that we don't know that it's for 3 homes, so we see, oh, that's a little more, if not a lot more, than the 8 cubic yard allowance. So, standard operating practice for us, and by instruction from the city, move forward, make sure you continue and collect everybody else, and then we'll come back and revisit that pile. So if that's something y'all like to discuss, and we're open to it.
Put your address on it.
We just need to know who it is. That's the thing.
But one of the problems is that we were going to talk about is we don't see the actual numbers of the homes. And when there is a vacant lot, it doesn't have a number. And so we have no clue who actually put the garbage or whatever it is in that lot. So we need to be able to match a number with the waste contract.
Well, like the lot beside my house won't have a number because
Right.
it's all on the
Exactly.
same. It's part of my
Exactly.
property. It's one
Exactly.
thing,
But
so there
it's
won't
your
be a number.
trash. It's your trash and your contract only.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do, because people will dump the trees after they picked them up. And they'll put waste in there after they picked it up. And so it's going to be your waste if it doesn't matter.
I just asking the question.
It's a good question. I'm glad you asked it, because that has been happening. And we've had several issues with it because the piles are triple the size they should be. And it's always, well, I got it from this other house, it's my rental house, or something like that, so.
And, specific for our contract, one question that we've, just when I was driving around trying to help one of the city staff members, we've even seen some folks that were maybe rehabilitating the home, flipping a home, working on that. And that, if you're a contractor working on a property, it's got a commercial contract work. That doesn't pertain necessarily. It's essentially the way you have to look at it. If you're doing the work yourself, or a family member of yours at your home, that's how it counts. But if you have someone coming in and accumulating a large pile, or tearing down a shed for you or something of that nature, or half your home, that's some of the things we have been seeing, and we're just trying to focus back on it and try not to be we're being very generous. We're trying to be a great partner, but at the end of the day, we're trying to dial it back. That way, it doesn't start affecting the resident down the line, because they're calling and saying, hey, why have I not been picked up yet? We don't want to tell them, well, it's because 4 houses down, we're picking up an entire home. So it affects down the line. So. We haven't mentioned that yet, so I don't know if you want.
And some of the things that, I guess in new construction that he's talking about, is that we should be enforcing that we have them under our contract when a new development or a new builder is doing something, or a renovation, that they should be using waste management swim-offs for their construction. Otherwise, we are losing revenue that the city could be making at the same time.
It's been something, there's so much growth in this, not just in this particular, but just Hill Country region and San Antonio in particular, that I believe that sometimes, people are just used as a developer or anyone like that. I mean, if I want to call it, I'm building something up, hey, I need it now, and we're just trying to see how we can work through that, because at the end of the day, with this specific agreement and the past agreements we've had, there is a franchise, a fee that we share with you all. So you're making sure that you have similar trucks that are, I guess, who's driving through your town, and what price they're given. We don't want any price gouging like that for anyone. It could happen, and the level of service you're going to be getting from Waste Management. At the end of the day, if something like that happens, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, we're not going to raise a problem about it, but the city is the one that's losing out, because that's a revenue generator for the city. So.
Any other questions?
Do have one thing on this, at your door, I think you need to do y'all and us probably both need to do a better job of getting that out there for a couple of good reasons. Number one, that sort of stuff, the paints, battery acids, whatever batteries that gets picked up, that definitely is bad for landfills or standard landfills. And in fact, it's kind of so well hidden. My wife called, and the city here didn't even know we offered that.
Sure.
So.
Well, this is part of. Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah.
So I think that needs to be possibly put out there, and maybe in the
we have a number
bill.
of items that we can share with you all on various different platforms. It could be electronic. We can do items for your newsletter. We have videos that we can share. This is all items that we'd like to add to your city website, and this is part of the process.
Great. Any more
Ma'am.
questions? Yes.
On the subject of the at your door.
Yes, ma'am.
I did know we did, and she contacted me. Now, some of the staff did not realize because they were new.
Right. Well, I'm just saying somebody didn't know about it.
No, I did know because I think in general, when you first came here, you didn't realize we offered it either.
Yes, ma'am.
But it is an
Well, actually, I
excellent
think she was the
service.
one that contacted you and finally got the right direction on it. But
Yes.
it's not widely used, but it should be widely used, because we don't need, primarily, we just don't need those kind of chemicals leaching into through our landfills.
Correct, and each customer is also charged $1 each month on their bill for that service. And so that's what we negotiated when we started this, and it's
I believe
been
it's,
probably,
or at least on our end, it's 80 cents.
yes,
So.
and it's $1 total, I think is how they
So
rounded
it's
it
there.
up. So it's there.
We might want
Month or
to, I know
year?
the
Pardon?
newspaper's been
A
doing
month.
information,
A month?
did you know that kind of thing? Put something about it in your.
Yeah, I'll give
the
some
column
props to
thing,
the newspaper.
Because not everybody has computers or
Mm-hmm.
that, so, but they do read the newspaper, just a thought.
Yeah, I'll give some thanks to the newspaper. I mean, I saw, I picked it up from here, that y'all did a great job with the brush and bulk diagrams on that, so thank you very much. So those are more things that we just need to continue sharing, and it'll be, it's a process, and the more education you put in front of someone, it's gonna get better. So.
Wonderful. And
No problem at all.
we have listened to the presentation from Chris, and now we're going to 10, which is discussion and appropriate action authorizing the interim city administrator and staff to negotiate terms, conditions, and pricing related to the City of Castroville solid waste disposal and collection franchise agreement with Waste Management. So is there any discussion?
I got.
Yes, sir.
Just a question to Leroy. Once you negotiate these terms, are you going to bring them back to us?
Certainly bring it
before
back
we
to y'all
sign
for
them?
approval. Yes, sir. Y'all be the ones approving it. We'll kind of negotiate the contract, working with Chris closely. We have been for the past couple of months now, and as he mentioned, there's a lot of education that is put into this, and we definitely want to take advantage of that. So they do a good job, but how can we make it just better? And so that's what we're doing. So definitely, yes, we'll bring it back to y'all for approval.
Before you sign off?
Oh, we won't sign off until y'all approve it.
And guys, they have done so much for us that they shouldn't have. We call them and say, somebody put a tree out, and I'm talking a tree, and they have come out and picked it up, which has backed up. It's a domino effect on the roots. So they've done an incredible job for us. All right, do I have any sort of motion?
This time, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the interim city administrator staff to negotiate terms, conditions, pricing related to the City of Castroville solid waste disposal collection franchise agreement with Waste Management.
Second.
Good.
Very good.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Great. All right. So we'll be getting with you, Mr. Cox, Leroy. Great, great, great. And now we are at my favorite, the Founder's Day, 175th anniversary celebration. Ms. Garrett is going to show us what they have purchased.
Okay. Oh, you're already up. All right.
Shouldn't take long.
Can you read your paper?
Turn it on, sorry. It may take a moment.
Fire it up.
Sorry, I got everything ready, but turning it on. Sit down.
Okay.
Yeah. that's pretty
Committee's
sure.
been meeting. We've met probably about 6 times. So let me go over. Flip it. Who flips it? Do you?
Yes.
Our schedule, once again, September 12th at 4 o'clock p.m. We have a special city council meeting at Landmark Inn. Mayor Sant Laban will be setting the agenda. I think they're still working on that.
I've gotten it. Mr. Arnie kindly got it to me.
Okay, county and state elected officials may attend. We have issued invitations to them. We have heard back from Dr. Rohrbach, Judge Mark Habe, Judge Schuhart, and Commissioner Larry Sitry. We haven't heard back from any of the state reps yet, so we will have some VIPs there. September 14th, 9:30 a.m., we have an opening ceremony on September Square by the Daughters of the Republic of Texas Alsatian Pioneer Chapter. It's going to take about a half an hour for that opening celebration. We did at the last meeting talk about what if it rains. I talked to Pastor Knippa today, and I asked him if by chance it's raining, it's not raining hard to cancel everything else, can we use your annex? And he was very gracious and said yes. So if it's raining and no one wants to stand in the rain, we're going to be welcome to go over to the Lutheran Church to their annex. So that would not have to be canceled. Then from 10 to 4 p.m., continuous live music, food, games, performances, and much more at 7 venues. As a reminder, the venues: Steinbach House, Landmark Inn, September Square, Zion Lutheran Church, Castro Colony's Living History Center, St. Louis Church, and finally Houston Square. We do have a first aid station arranged, and they should be there all day long unless they get called away. If they got called away, they'd be back as soon as they handled whatever called them away. We are going to have for the children a passport. We'll see that in a little while, but we're going to pass out maps that shows everybody the 7 sites, gives them a good look at how close it is to walk to everything. On the back of that, it'll be a front-back flip. We have an invitation to visit the 6 historic places to learn about the founding of Castroville 175 years ago. So we give a little information about each of the 6 sites that are actually on the children's passports, so they know to do that. They can pick up a passport at any site. If you'll look at the next, not the next page, but, well, it's on down in there. You'll see what their passport's actually going to look like. It'll get stamps on it. They can pick it up anywhere, and once, there you go, there it is. Once that's the back of it, and then the other side, go back to the stamp place. Each site will have a stamp to stamp that the family actually visited that. The children would then go to Houston Square, to pick up a prize. My bad, I was supposed to go by the chamber and pick up a sample of one of the prizes we have. I didn't get there by 3, so I had one. I'm going to give it to Sheena. This is the bracelet, one of the bracelets. The other thing they'll get is a pair of sunglasses. So you got to let everybody look at it, Sheena, and I'll have to
And then
pass
we'll give
it
it back,
to
I
Sheena.
promise.
We will get all of you another one. I promise you, we'll all get you bracelets. But we have the little bracelet, and in addition to that, we'll have each kid a little pair of sunglasses that has Castroville Celebration on the side.
That's good.
Okay, expenditures.
Two I got here.
Advertising, we haven't had to pay anything for advertising yet. We have sent press releases to all of the local newspapers. We had a radio station, KLUP, last Saturday. It was from 4 to 5 in the afternoon. We had committee members there, plus Mayor Santleben, and we all talked about the different sites that would be happening. We have a media blast that is going out now from the TexasHillCountry.com magazine that gives a lot of information and pictures about our celebration and the sites that everybody needs to visit. Our Highway 90 banners, we have 2 of them. We paid $885 and HEB paid $500 to help us with those banners. So a little less than a half, but it was help.
I'm sorry, so was that for 2 banners?
2 banners, yes.
So both together, they were $885 and they paid $500?
No, together they were $1,300.
Oh,
$85.
Thank you.
The utility bill and Community National Bank flyers were $307. Founder's Day posters, passports and map, that's all the printing that we're having done, $600. Sunglasses, we haven't gotten them yet, they're ordered, $718. Our wristbands were $126. And venue signs, our little signs that we're going to have at each site to tell people this is where you are, just in case they don't recognize the site. So our total cost to date is $2,693, and we don't anticipate any other bills coming in at this point in time.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, well, okay. We already talked about the passports, the front and the back of them. And we also talked this last time about weather contingencies. On September 11th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, David from Landmark Inn, and we'll meet with Mayor Santleben if there are severe weather cancellations out there. He has to have a 24-hour period if it's severe weather coming by state law to cancel something. So if it is that severe and we're going to have to cancel the whole thing, they'll meet 24 hours prior to that to make that decision. If they're okay, we get to the 13th. If it's severe weather warnings, then Mayor Santleben will decide if the opening ceremony will be moved indoors. This says American Legion. We found out since then that's booked. That's when I talked to Pastor Knippa, and he's offered us the annex at the Lutheran Church. So that's whether or not we're going to move the opening ceremony. Then 7 o'clock on the 14th, depending on what the weather says, we'll have to make a citywide go, no-go decision. And that's only if severe weather is threatening the celebration. Questions or?
Did they have umbrellas in 1840?
I'm sorry? What?
Did they have umbrellas in 1840?
Well, I don't know if they did or not. I'm sure they did.
I'm just curious, one of my concerns is about sunglasses. Those are ultraviolet filtered sunglasses you're giving to the
I'm
kids?
quite sure if we're
Okay.
getting 1,000 of them for or something like that for
Yeah,
$700,
okay.
I don't
Good.
think
I
so.
just, some of the cheap sunglasses aren't really UV filters, and I hate to put those on kids' heads. That's all.
Well, I think these are not intended to be a very upscale
Yeah, okay.
sunglasses.
Well, it'd be nice
So-
to give them
Yeah. They're
real
more-
good sunglasses, but,
They're more like a children's birthday party prize,
Yeah.
I think.
okay.
So,
The adverse effect is that it opens the pupils and lets more UV light in if they're not, so.
anything else?
Any more questions? I thank you guys, they've been working hard.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Priscilla. Next one, which I know everybody's going to have fun with, Leroy, is number 12, discussion and appropriate action on setting the tax rate for the fiscal year 2020 proposed tax rate and setting a date, time, and place for 2 public hearings on the tax rate if required. This is all yours, Leroy.
So the city's current tax rate is 0.508853. The 2019-20 rollback rate is 0.507771, and the effective rate is 0.470508. If the city council anticipates adopting a tax rate at or below the effective rate, no public hearing is required. However, if the city council anticipates adopting a tax rate in excess of the effective tax rate, the city is required to hold 2 public hearings and publish the newspaper ads before adopting the tax rate that exceeds the rollback rate or the effective rate, whichever rate is lower. Our recommendation for city council is to call the public hearings for September 10th and for September 17th at 6 o'clock here at city council chambers. And to back up, as I mentioned earlier in our budget presentation, our current tax rate for 2018 is 0.508853. The max or the highest that we can go this year is 0.507771. So as I was working on budget, the only alternative would be to go out for the max, unless y'all decide to go out above that, then that would require voter approval. I didn't see any reason for us to adopt a rate lower than the 5.07771. So the breakdown of that, the M&O rate would be 0.473889, and that M&O rate is used to help pay for the day-to-day operations of the organization, payroll, supplies, materials, contracted services, and so forth. The INS rate, which is 0.33882, that is used to pay off debt. Those amounts that we talked about for the debt rate or the INS rate. And then, of course, that total tax rate becomes the rollback rate, which is 0.507771. As far as a breakdown, roughly what we would get, the way we recalculate this is you take your freeze adjusted taxable value, which was a little over 207 million, times the actual rollback rate divided by 100. So we're looking at an anticipated revenue of a little over $1 million. With that $1 million, and I'll have a breakdown for you at our next meeting, that includes the M&O and the INS rate. So the M&O rate just alone is a little over $900,000, and of course the rest would go to the INS rate. So right now I'm proposing to go ahead and go out for the max rate, the rollback rate, which is 0.507771. And one of the reasons, right quick, that it decreased from this year to next, or this current year to next year, is because we have an increase in values. You would think, okay, we have an increase in values, why didn't it go up? Well, we also had an increase in sales tax, so they take that into consideration when they're figuring out how much property taxes you're going to get. So that's a good thing for the city of Castroville. So in this case, because we went up on both, therefore the rate goes down. Yes, sir. So that's kind of where we're at right now. At our next budget workshop that we have, especially at the September 10th tax rate hearing, I'll have a breakdown of all the tax rate and so forth, and how much that would affect the average taxpayer out there with exemptions and then of course without exemptions.
Very important. Thank you, Leroy. Any discussion? Mr.
I'd just like to clarify the rollback rate that you use to build the budget is the highest rate that we're considering. I mean, that's the purpose of setting this. So we can't consider any number bigger than that from this night on if this gets approved. And then the effective rate, which is a much lower rate, if we were to approve that, we would get the same number of dollars in taxes that we got last year.
Correct, yes, sir.
So we're looking at that range between the same amount we got last year and the maximum amount that Leroy has proposed. I think they've done a really good job. Of course, we just got this budget tonight, but you all probably are not aware, but we have been getting little briefings from the city staff for the last month and a half, where we've been talking about little pieces of this budget separately. And this is the first time tonight that Leroy and the staff can give us the whole thing. So we're now ready to rock and roll. So I'm very pleased with this. I support it.
Good job. Mr. Short?
I feel the same way as Councilman Dyer.
Mr. Byers? Mr. Carey?
If we adopt that rollback rate tonight, are we committing ourselves to it, or can we actually lower it at a subsequent meeting? If we rework a little bit of our budget, revenue and expenses,
Well, yes.
we can lower it at a subsequent meeting.
You can't go higher than
Can't go
what
higher, I
you
knew
choose
that.
tonight.
But we can go higher.
So when we flesh out a few more of the numbers that we're still waiting for, if we get there and say, we could knock that down a little bit, we could knock it down a little bit.
Under the statute, that's why you're going to have the 2 public hearings.
Right.
You can have public testimony that might persuade you to lower it.
Yeah, we might. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Good question. Ms. Martinez? No. Very good. So,
Mayor, if you would, could I get a roll call
Yes.
vote on this?
so how do I ask that we agree?
Well, you do a motion and a second, and then you would just call for a roll call.
Okay. Who's going to make the
On your
motion?
settings.
I move that we adopt the rollback rate of 0.50771 for the proposed budget.
Second?
Excuse me, he left out a 7. You need to repeat your number, please.
I'm sorry, of 0.50771 for the proposed budget. Thank you.
Good. Second?
I second it.
All right. Now I need to do a roll call. Ms. Martinez, ladies first.
Aye.
Mr. Carey?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Schuler?
Aye.
Not Shu. Mr. Dyer?
Aye.
Does this also include the 2 hearing dates that we've requested?
You should probably do that by separate motion.
Okay.
Sorry. Another one?
Probably do that by separate motion.
We're talking about
Hearing
September
dates.
10th and September 17th, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All
I
right.
will add a motion that we schedule those public hearings for the tax rate review for September 10th and September 17th of this year.
Second?
I second it.
Is this another roll call?
No, this is.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Very good. Public, come, we need you. All right, we're going to the next item, which is, this is Miss Brianna,
Yep.
our new person.
I have one more thing.
Discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, not yet, Brianna. I wrote on my next agenda item. Discussion and appropriate action on setting, we did that.
Not for the budget.
Oh, the annual, okay. Discussion and appropriate action on setting a date for a public hearing on the fiscal year 2020 annual operating capital budget. Mr. Vidales.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Local Government Code 102.006, public hearing on proposed budget requires a public hearing be set after the 15th day of the date of the proposed budget is filed with the municipal clerk, but before the date the governing body makes its tax levy. The notice of the public hearing must be published in the official newspaper at least once 10 days before the hearing. So basically what we're asking is to set the public hearing date for Tuesday, September 17th at 6 o'clock. We'll discuss, it'll be a public hearing to discuss budget, and then we can move forward from there.
And may I have a motion?
I move we set September 17th as the date for a public hearing on the FY 2020 annual operating and capital budget.
A second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we can talk to Ms. Brianna. This item is from Community Development, and it is about an amendment to the Bureau Veritas Professional Services Agreement, which has another piece to it, which will be later on.
Right after.
All right, Brianna.
On May 21st, Governor Abbott signed a bill, House Bill 852, stating that we can no longer do our permit fees based on valuation. We must do them on square footage now. So this first part is just about amending the Bureau Veritas contract because they already switched over to doing it by square footage and not by valuation. There's really no change in certain, maybe a little bit less or a little bit more depending on the square footage, but really it's all evened out for the most part. And it's a wash on our part. Whatever they charge us, we charge back to the contractors. So,
Any questions? Excuse me. No one? All right, do I have a motion to accept, not accept?
I move that we amend the professional services agreement between the city and Bureau Veritas North Texas Incorporated based on the requirements of the House Bill 852 as proposed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And it passed. Brianna, you're next again.
okay, well, the second part of this is that now we, even though we're a little behind schedule, we need to change our fees because this went into effect immediately. And so now what I'm proposing, or what I went by, was a TML. They sent out a guideline to tell us how the cities should base, what rate they should come up with for the square footage, price per square footage, sorry. And so what they said was add up all, in the past year, add up all the square footages for all the houses that you did. And this is just for residential, this is not for commercial. So it's all the square footage for all the houses that you did, and then all the permit fees that were charged by Bureau Veritas, and then you just divide it, and that gives you your cents per square footage. I do want to make a note that on the fee page, it says 56 cents per square foot, but it's supposed to be 53 cents per square foot. I'm not sure. The new single-family dwelling, townhouse, two-family dwelling, it's supposed to be 53 cents per square foot. If you look in the Excel spreadsheet right after the fee schedule, it just shows you that's all the permits from the past year, the square footage of those permits, and then the permit fees, and that's the average down at the bottom, is 53 cents per square foot. So, any questions?
Any questions?
In the ordinance, in the proposed ordinance, does it have the correct number, 53 cents per square foot?
This is, we're going to have to update that, because I think this is a part of the ordinance, right?
Part of the ordinance, we're going to have to do an amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We need to approve to adopt the fee schedule and amended fee.
Okay, do you have a motion?
I move that we adopt the fee schedule of 53 cents per square foot, which is the amended fee to provide for residential building permit fees based on square footage.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Carey seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Good job, Brianna. Thank you. And our next one is discussion and appropriate action to adjust salaries of all full-time employees currently making less than $15 per hour. And I fully support this. These guys are out there in this heat, filling potholes and cutting trees and who knows what else. Leroy.
Thank you, Mayor. Back when we were discussing budget with each with each council member, I know Mr. Elliott and I had kind of brought this up as far as wanting to get your thoughts about increasing bringing up the $13 minimum wage that we currently have for all full-time employees up to $15, just to, one, remain competitive with our surrounding municipalities, to retain our employees, we want to keep them here, and then also to attract new employees coming into the city. And so currently we have a total of 5 full-time employees that are under the $15 mark, and they are in streets and also in public works. And then we have 2 full-time employees that we would definitely need to adjust because they're right above the $15 mark. And so we have 2 pay periods coming up in September, and that'll close out the fiscal year. So the budgetary impact for this would be about $1,200 for this budget fiscal year. And of course, next year, those numbers are already embedded into the new budget. And so we're requesting that if y'all are okay with it, that y'all increase that $13 mark to $15. I know those employees would be very appreciative. I know John and Devin are here, their employees would like that. If y'all want to share anything with that, but I think it's long overdue, and we want to remain competitive, and just, this is a good thing, because we can say, hey, for all full-time employees, our starting pay is $15 an hour, so,
We can afford it?
yes, sir.
I'm all for it then.
Anyone have any questions?
You can drive a school bus for $15 an hour.
Mayor, I move we adjust the salaries of all full-time employees currently making less than $15 per hour.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you all for that.
And it passed, and I'm very glad. This is a good thing. All right, the last piece right now would be to convene to executive session in accordance with Texas Local Government Code, Section 551.074. The city council shall convene in executive session to deliberate the appointment, employment, and duties of the police chief. And let the record show that we are going to move at 7:08. All right. I have an eye appointment next week. Classes are like 5 years old.
You can see that. That's fine.